I've been rocking Samsung's new Galaxy S9 smartphone as my full-time handset for the past week. I've had it stashed in my pants every day and it's come to bed with me every night. Or something that doesn't sound quite so dodgy. Now, our full Galaxy S9 review will be hitting YouTube this Thursday at 1 PM UK time when Samsung's press embargo lifts. But until then, I thought I'd just share a few thoughts on my first full week with the S9. Okay, so first of all, there's been a lot of consternation about the design of the smartphone and the fact that it basically looks exactly like the S8 and the S8 Plus from last year. And to be honest, I can understand how you don't want to be spunking out this amount of money for something that basically looks like last year's model. You want something that's in some way updated, upgraded, looks a bit more sexified. But to be honest, the S9 still looks absolutely amazing. So yes, you are essentially buying something that looks just like last year's model, but you know what? It still looks great. And sure, if you've got the S8, you're not going to want to upgrade to the S9 purely for aesthetical reasons. But if you don't have last year's S8, you're upgrading to a phone that still looks very, very sleek and sexy. Of course, one aspect of that design has changed, and that is the rear-mounted fingerprint sensor. It's now nice and central here in the middle of the phone, rather than being pushed sort of awkwardly off to the side. We always sort of struggled to find it when we first picked up the handset. And at first, gotta admit, it did feel a little bit awkward still, because it just feels like you're tapping the camera lens. As you can see, it is essentially built into the same jutty out partition as the camera lens itself, which means that yeah, it does feel a bit awkward rather than having a completely separate fingerprint sensor that's maybe a little bit indented. Just makes it feel more natural. But all the same, once you get used to it, which for me took around sort of 2 or 3 days, it does the job absolutely fine. And while it's not the fastest fingerprint sensor around, it does the job. A quick tap and you're pretty much straight into your desktops. Can't complain with that. And like last year's model, I've had absolutely no problem using this thing one-handed despite that massive 5.8-inch display. That's helped along considerably the fact that Samsung's added some really smart one-handed modes. So you can swipe that fingerprint sensor to bring down the notifications bar, though it doesn't always work first time, as you can see there. And of course you've got the awesome one-handed mode, with just a quick flick. You can then easily access your desktops, your apps, and you don't have to worry about stretching all the way to the top of the screen to reach that notifications bar, which all the same isn't really that much of a chore. Now I don't want to dive too deep into the actual features and everything, I'll save that for the full review, but there's a couple of new bits on here compared with the S8, one of which is the SmartThings app. The SmartThings basically acts as a hub for all of your smart connected gear. I'll say all of your smart connected gear. The list of supported devices isn't massive right now. You do get a good range, a good selection of stuff, but once you actually tap into them, you'll find that there's only 1 or 2 different manufacturers offered up. So for instance, Yale and the keyless bit. If you go into the cameras right now, it's just Netgear basically, and the lights is limited as well, all that kind of stuff. But that's something that will change over time. You know Samsung is going to get a lot of manufacturers on board, so that should be all awesome. If you want to see that in action, go check out our full S9 tips and tricks video, which is live now. Of course, nothing's really changed with that display, and we're absolutely fine with that because it's a Super AMOLED, it's Quad HD+, it's absolutely stunning, frankly. And those stereo speakers now support a bit of Dolby Atmos, which you can activate or deactivate right here in the notifications bar. So that's on right now. Let's just check out a bit of Netflix and see it in action.
Chuck, are you trying to hold my hand? You sly
Now, these
dog.
things are really, really, really loud. In fact, they're so loud, I'm going to have to actually pause it so I can actually talk over it. Really, really punchy and powerful. A little bit tinny on that maximum volume again, and of course you wouldn't exactly use it at a party to, you know, rock your tunes or anything like that. But still, for a smartphone, very impressive stuff, and we'll definitely be using that on the bus just to annoy the hell out of our fellow commuters. As you can hear, not exactly super crisp on that top volume, but still pretty punchy for a smartphone. Definitely do the job if you're just rocking out at your desk or whatever. Of course, thankfully you do get that 3.5mm headphone jack and a bit of Bluetooth 5 support, so you can easily hook up to headphones when you need to. So what about that performance? Well, as you'd expect from a new Exynos chipset, it's nice and nippy no matter what you're up to. If you're blasting baddies in a game, just knocking about on Netflix, whatever you happen to be doing, you can expect nice smooth performance throughout. Boom baby, oh yeah. Now, we can't actually do any benchmarking on camera at the moment, unfortunately. That will all be coming in the full review, so again, stay tuned for all of that on Thursday. What about the battery life so far? Well, so far, I've been suitably impressed by it. I had this fully charged just over 24 hours ago, and I've hammered the hell out of it in that time. As you can see, we've still got 13%, estimated 3 hours of usage. Of course, you've got usual power saving modes if you do need them, but the app power monitor is really, really good. That shows you exactly which apps are using up lots and lots of your valuable juice, and you can put them to sleep as well. So as you can see, we've got always sleeping apps, and I've got a couple there that were sapping my juice in the background. So just put those to sleep. And no problem whatsoever. So as I say, if you take it easy with the Galaxy S9, you'll probably get a day and a half of life. If you hammer it, you should still make it all the way to bedtime, and you shouldn't have to plug it in to charge until you're tucked up with Teddy. Of course, one of the big differences between the S9 and last year's S8 is that camera tech. Samsung's made a really big deal of it. The camera reimagined was their tagline for the Galaxy S9 launch. So is it really that different? Well, the camera app has changed up a little bit. Of course, you've got a couple of new bonus features in there, such as the super slow motion. The big difference between this and Sony's version is that auto mode, where you can just press and hold on this little square, drag it around to exactly where you want, and then as soon as any action happens in that square, it'll start shooting. And that really, really helps when you're trying to shoot footage pre-planned. Of course, obviously, if it's impromptu footage, then it's a bit more tricky. You're best off with the manual, but it still does a really smart job. We do have a full sample compilation video, so go check that out if you want to see it in action. The only problem I've had with it so far is the fact that sometimes the focus can be a bit iffy. As you can see here, it's kind of struggling right now. It takes a little bit longer to focus on your subjects, and if they move around a lot, they can go out of focus quite quickly as well. And also, if you're in low lighting, it'll really struggle too. You want nice, strong, natural light. And you'll find that if you're shooting in artificial light as well, you'll get this kind of strobe effect. So you definitely want to be shooting outdoors in full, nice natural light for good results. And of course, there's the AR emoji effort, which is slightly creepy to say the least. As you can see here, this is me, kind of. I appear to be suffering from some kind of facial tics. I'm not really sure what. You can't actually frown when you're doing it. This is me frowning. I just look like I'm constipated, basically. If I smile, I look like a serial killer. I'm going to murder you and your family in your sleep. And also, my hair doesn't actually appear to be hair. It appears to be a swarm of insects which are kind of buzzing a couple of millimeters above my skull, which is just terrifying. But of course, it's hard to get mad at a feature which is essentially just a fluffy, happy little thing for people to mess around with and enjoy with their mates. So yeah, there's that. So what about our camera shots? Well, as you would expect from a Samsung snapper, they've come out really, really well. Although admittedly, we've done a little side-by-side with the S8 and we can't notice much of a difference at all, especially in those low light conditions. It seems to produce a very similar effect despite the dual aperture feature. That's not to say that low light snaps are bad, they still look good. And they've got an impressive amount of detail packed in there, especially compared with a lot of rivals such as the Pixel 2 XL, things like that. But if you are using the S8 and you're upgrading to the S9, the hope that the camera tech is going to be worlds different, then you might want to hold off just for a little bit longer. If you want to know more about the S9, just check back this Thursday at 1 PM UK time, where our full camera review and all kinds of extra bonus shenanigans will be going live. Thanks for watching everyone, give us a like and a subscribe, and ding that notifications bell. Cheers.